I want to start with a little video here that I'm hoping will pull your heartstrings a little bit. We want to hit pro-life as a topic. And in the church here, and biblically, we believe in life, liberty, and property. It's the things that God gave us. And without a true core belief in protecting life, there really is no liberty, and there's no point in having property. So let's start with that, and start with this video.
Representative Click.
Yes.
Are these procedures performed on babies who are, for example, 16 weeks old?
They can be done as early as about 13 to 14 weeks and up to about 24 weeks.
So 16 weeks. I have a son who's 16 weeks now and sitting over there with my wife and my constituents, Corbin and Christian, who are very, hope they grow up to be, I hope he grows up to be like someday. So at 16 weeks, we got up this morning, we put the Doppler on my wife's belly, and we tried to find him. I guess we'll call him Baby Jeff, since Representative Leach has been pulling for that name. So we found little Jeff this morning in his heartbeat, but Jeff likes to move when the Doppler is moving, and he likes to evade it. And we noticed when we get the sonogram and he's kicking, and he doesn't like to be photographed either, so he puts his two hands up to the Doppler and covers his face. And he's 16 weeks old. Now, Dr. Oliverson has told me also that a very similar thing happens when these procedures are performed. When a baby as old as mine is now goes to the doctor and they rip his leg off while his heart is still beating, which is the procedure that you're currently trying to prohibit, the baby actually moves. It tries to go away from where it's being ripped limb from limb and go in the part of the uterus farthest away. Is that not correct, Representative Click?
That's correct.
In this horrific procedure where a child, the age of my child right now, is ripped limb from limb while it's still alive and feels pain and is moving around the uterus, that's what you're trying to prohibit, correct?
That is absolutely correct.
And that's what Representative Turner's amendment wants to allow in certain instances. Is that not correct?
That's correct.
Thank you.
All right, guys, sorry for the somber intro, but tell us about that bill and what happened, and I'd like to hear more about kind of our wins and our losses in the pro-life movement.
Well, that was probably our biggest win of the session, was the dismemberment abortion bill. And it was exactly as described. It prohibits a procedure whereby a baby's ripped limb from limb while their heart's still beating, while they can feel pain. The bill was, in February, it was our top priority on the pro-life side, and it was dead on arrival in the House because House leadership had indicated that they weren't going to pass it, and Chairman Byron Cook didn't want to pass the bill either. But we worked really hard, and we used what leverage we could, and we basically forced the bill to the floor. And we eventually got a vote on it, and during that debate, Representative Click carried an amendment on another pro-life bill, and we passed the dismemberment abortion ban. Do you want to go into the other ones as well?
On the pro-life side? Yeah. Are we going to do special and regular, or just, okay.
Mix and match.
Hey, special session was kind of a mixed bag because we did not do a whole lot of things we should have done, but on the pro-life side, it was actually a very good special session. We made sure that it's not just, before the child's born, but the pro-life philosophy goes all the way till the end of natural death as well. And there were these do not resuscitate orders that we had on the books in Texas, where we kind of had these quasi-death panels where these hospital boards and administrators were figuring out if it was time to pull the plug on you or not. And we kind of felt like that should be your decision and your family's decision, and not administrators for economic costs. So for the first time, Jonathan and I had been working on that issue, and Rich Diod and Yvette Diod have been working on that issue for years. And so we finally got a resolution to that this time, where you can have a lot more dignity and a lot more say in these end-of-life issues on the pro-life side. Also made it prohibited insurance coverage from going to provide for elective abortions. So Texans are no longer going to have to subsidize abortion procedures, the elective abortion procedures. So those were some really good things that we did. There were some other ones that I'll let somebody else go over. I'm happy to keep talking about. But
if you don't mind, I want to give you guys a little bit of background, because it's very easy for us to get caught up in like using acronyms and talking about people as if you know them. And I want to explain, just lay some groundwork for you about the reality of the Texas House and Texas politics. For something to become a law, it has to pass in the Texas House and the Texas Senate in the same format, and then it gets sent to the governor, and the governor gets to decide whether he signs it into law or vetoes it. In the Texas House of Representatives, there's 150 members all across the state that covers every inch of Texas. Right now we have, is it 95 Republicans?
Correct.
95 Republican Texas House members out of 150. That is nearly a supermajority of Republicans in the Texas House. The Texas Senate is the same way. They have the majority. Is it a supermajority? You have a supermajority in the Texas Senate, and every single elected statewide person is a Republican. Now, for those of you who are pro-life, you understand that everything that we're talking about a possibility of happening is in our Republican Party platform. The Democrats do not have any of the numbers to stop any of these pro-life bills with who they have there. That means every single pro-life bill that we're talking about today can only die because of one reason: Republicans. Republicans are the only ones who have the numbers to pass a bill or to kill a bill. So what we have specifically in the Texas House, we have an individual, the current Speaker of the House, Joe Strauss, who came to power with a coalition of the entire Democrat caucus and a handful of Republicans who were, in my opinion, not conservative, and in this case, not pro-life. They are then beholden to the Democrat caucus, which is their majority of their coalition, that got them into power, because the Speaker is elected by the representatives. So when you hear us talking about Chairman Byron Cook, for instance, that didn't want to pass the bill, understand that is a Republican. He is a Republican member. And every single one of the bills that did not pass was because Republicans did not bring it up. So I just wanted to kind of lay that out there for you so that you would know exactly what is going on. A lot of times we are at odds personally with the Democrat Party, but many times it is actually our own party that is preventing some of the things that I would personally would like to see happen. So I just wanted to lay that groundwork for you, if that was okay.
It's not okay.
It's not okay, but it's our reality.
And if you worry about the pro-life cause as well, like I do, I was the Texas Right to Life pro-life whip in the House, which saw to it that a lot of these pro-life bills got organized, the votes were there, they passed. And there are actually pro-life organizations, mainstream pro-life organizations. One of them, for example, is Texas Alliance for Life, it's called. Very similar name to Texas Right to Life. Texas Right to Life works for strong pro-life legislation. But I was shocked when I came in one session ago, and Texas Alliance for Life is actually working to weaken pro-life legislation. And in fact, the dismemberment abortion ban that we just talked about, which is horrific, right? This is a procedure that Ruth Bader Ginsburg called brutal. This passed with bipartisan support in the Senate, that bill. An abortion bill passed with some Democrat support, and then the House got Democrat support as well. And it passed in 50 minutes in the Senate. This group, Texas Alliance for Life, takes donations from unsuspecting pro-life individuals and actually sent us all letters opposing the bill on the House floor. So they're using pro-life individuals' money to lobby against a very strong pro-life bill like that. So you should be aware of that also. Texas Right to Life is the organization you should support.
In regards to the pro-life legislation, after some of the failures that happened during the regular session, Governor Abbott came out and laid out an agenda of 20 different items that he wanted us to address in the special session. When we get into a special session, it is the governor that can control which items are on the call, which items can be dealt with. Out of the 20 pieces of legislation that he brought up, 5 of them were issues that dealt with life. due to the great work of a lot of the people here, we were able to pass 4 of the 5 bills. The other bill was a bill that would permanently defund Planned Parenthood in the state of Texas. That is the bill that did not pass a nearly supermajority Republican-led legislature.
But the good news is we did actually pass a budget amendment that defunded it for the next 2-year period. I actually passed an amendment to the budget that completely defunded Planned Parenthood and their affiliates in the state of Texas. So we actually, that is the law for the next 2 years. This bill would apply.
I think Rich Dion has a question for you guys.
So I don't know if you all can answer this question, but Representative Click carried the dismemberment ban, and she noted, and I'm not sure if y'all have talked with her about this, but she has noted to me some of the interactions that she had with some of the Democrats. And Representative Krause, you told me before you think about 20% of the House Democratic caucus is some level of pro-life, and it's really a theological issue, it's not a political issue. So if you can kind of expand on some of the interactions that happened around that debate, particularly with maybe Donna Howard or some others, I think that'd be helpful.
Yeah, you know, this is one area, it seems like sometimes you lose ground and lose ground. The pro-life area is one where we continue to gain ground because of science and technology. And as you said, there's a lot of Hispanic Democrats who are very strong in their Catholic faith. And the pro-life issue is big to them. Senator Lucio in the Senate, that's it. I mean, every time you say a bipartisan pro-life bill, it's usually because he's voted with the Republicans to make it bipartisan. He's so strong on that issue. But yeah, honestly, it's one of the most brilliant things that I think Matt did in that video you just saw, because the other side is so good about stories and emotions and feelings, and we're good on facts, figures, this and that. Matt really brought it home, right? Talking about his 16-week-old child and the pain that he would go through if you did this procedure to him. It wasn't some cold, heartless, you can't tell me what I can do with my body. It was, we need to protect this living, breathing human being from going through this torturous process. And so I think the more that we do that, even Donna Howard, when she was speaking against it that day, was almost in tears because of how horrible the procedure was. And it's almost like, how can you be so understanding of the issue and still vote against it? But we've got to work on that. But I do think more and more we're winning that battle in the hearts and minds of even the Democrats. Even though they vote against it sometimes, intellectually I think they're with us on a lot of those issues.